Welcome to the Hire Her podcast by Talent Collective, presenting conversations with inspiring women in talent. And get ready, ladies, because this is the last time you're going to hear a man's voice on this show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Hire Her, put on by Talent Collective. So my name is Krista Tan. I'm one of the co-founders of Talent Collective, and we're joined here by Natalie Stones, our other co-founder.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, we have a very, very special guest today. Her name is Carrie Beeks. I'm going to tell you a little story about Carrie. So last year, almost a year ago, she was one of the very first members that Talent Collective had that raised their hand to start a community, a local community in her city. She and I were having a brief intro call, just getting to know each other. And she waited till the very end and she said, so I've been thinking, I wonder, could I do something like this in Seattle for Talent Collective? And it was really the beginning of a new phase of our growth because many women have come after Carrie to start a community in their local area, but Carrie was really the first one to raise her hand. So she holds a very, very special place in my heart and our heart. And so as you've heard, she is our founding member in Seattle, and we are so excited to have you on today, Carrie. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what you're doing nowadays.
Hi, Krista. Hi, Natalie. Thank you. I'm excited to be here and part of this. And you both hold a really special place in my heart as well. So excited. So I have been in talent in one way or another for many years, probably over 15 years now. So it is really, when I think of my career, it is my career. So for the last year, I have been doing more project-based consulting for a variety of different organizations. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to flex between different clients and put on different hats that relate to recruiting. And so I am continuing to stay in this space of talent. And the conversation you and I had, Krista, it really was an opportunity for me to, give a little bit of what I've learned in the talent space, but also learn from those other women that do what we do every single day. So.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving back in that way. I know you are definitely seen as a leader and a role model in both the Talent Collective membership and community, but also the larger Seattle community. So we appreciate everything you do. We'll dive in here to some questions that we'd love to find out about you and get to know you a bit better. So you mentioned you've been in talent acquisition for roughly the last 15 years or so. So tell us about that journey and how it's led you to where you are today.
Well, looking back many years, early in my career, I had finished a graduate program in philanthropy and nonprofit. And I had spent some time overseas working with NGOs. And so when I came back to the US, I thought, well, of course, I want to really use this new knowledge. I want to kind of really submerge myself in my passion and go work in the philanthropic sector. And so I was incredibly excited when I got an opportunity to work for a boutique consulting firm that focused in the nonprofit area. And they wanted to hire me. And so I said yes before, the details really came out. And they said, well, we want to bring you into our brand new executive search division. So I said yes. And then I thought, what is executive search? What the heck is this? And so that was the way I immersed myself or started in talent, in recruitment. And right away, it just resonated with me. I never knew, like many of us in the talent space, what recruiting is, what it was, what it entails. But I was struck by the opportunity to sit at the table with clients and understand their challenges, what their needs were, and how talent could help them solve those challenges and make a real difference in their organization. And at the same time, be able to connect with talent and understand, what their needs are, what they were looking for, and understand, more importantly, their stories. And so I felt like I just had a really amazing opportunity to learn about a new career, and that just led me to pursue other opportunities. I went from there to a full desk, very large agency, and that was kind of a very rigid kind of entry into agency world, working both sides of the desk, so to speak. And it was through that opportunity that I literally was in an elevator, gave my little elevator pitch, and had an opportunity to go pitch to a client that ultimately turned out to be an employer of mine for 7-8 years, running their talent acquisition team, growing it from really small, no recruiters, no recruitment process, to really being kind of a national presence. And then just spending many years after that in internal talent acquisition. Interestingly, over the course of my career, I have worked within recruitment, within the staffing world, many different times, but doing more internal talent acquisition. So I've seen recruitment from a few different angles, from corporate, from more startup to nonprofit to global enterprises. And so I've been very fortunate to see many different ways that we can look for talent in organizations that need what we do.
Hey, this is Brent Skinner, host of Small Talk Window here at the Work Defined Podcasting Network. Have you ever wanted a short podcast to listen to during a coffee break of your workday? You've come to the right place. My guests dispense with the small talk as quickly as possible and settle into a meaningful conversation around the world of work.
It's amazing. You had such a great journey. I didn't even know all of that. So that's really fun to know about you. I know all things Talent Collective about you, but not your actual real journey. When you think about, as you went through that, was there anybody that really helped elevate you in your career? A man, a woman, a team, but someone or some team that stood out to you that you're like, that was the catalyst that really took me from one level to the next?
I've had many catalysts. My career is unfortunately long. So I've had the opportunity to meet amazing professionals during my career. I'm fortunate to have many individuals right now that are inspiring me, mentoring me, whether they know it or not. And so I'm a big believer in keeping my eyes open and my ears open for those that might just give me little nuggets of inspiration or skills, kind of insights on the skills, or maybe not so much the skills, but the things that I might need to think about in terms of elevating my career. But of course, there have been many individuals over the course of my career. I mean, even starting at the very first firm that I mentioned, I had the opportunity to work with a wonderful woman who was very seasoned in what she was doing as an executive search. And she kind of took me under her wing, so to speak. I'm not sure why, because I had no idea what I was doing, but she helped me professionalize myself as a professional, helped me understand what retained search was all about. And so, she was probably one of the first within the recruitment talent space, but there have been so many more women and men who've mentored me. I've had this amazing opportunity as well to be mentored in a way by some of my candidates. I've had an opportunity to work closely at times with very senior or executive level candidates, and I've gained so much from them in just listening to their stories, listening to how they present. And some know that they are great inspiration to me, that they've been mentors. Some don't, because it's maybe been a one or two conversations. So candidates have been inspirational to me, my colleagues. And, just to tie it back to Talent Collective, I am and inspired all the time by the women within this great community. Those that have more experience, maybe not as much experience, I'm always gaining from them.
That is so neat to hear. And, as you were talking, I was thinking a lot about, I've heard, many horror stories about women, and sometimes I think this can even be like industry specific or industry related. Like some industries kind of have this like toxicity to them, but the women leaders are like cutting down the more junior people and making them just feel awful about themselves and making them, feel like, yeah, just they're worthless and that they have to work so hard to get to where, the executives are. But I always love hearing stories of women supporting other women. And that's one of the biggest reasons we started Talent Collective and one of our biggest goals. So glad to hear that you received that earlier in your career, but that you're also experiencing that as a part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. I mean, look, I have certainly experienced a little bit of what you've shared. I don't think that is. I don't believe that that's solely in our industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to hold on to that because there are more important stories and experiences that I like to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have great examples of where there have been very senior level women who have broken the ceiling, so to speak, within organizations that I've worked with, and I've directly reported into them, that have become my best friends, while also still continuing to be great mentors and leaders. And in fact, one I had a conversation with this morning, dear friend, and so constantly learning. So for every maybe not so great story or example of what leadership is or isn't, there's so many more examples out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to shift gears a little bit to talk about recruiting specific questions. So I think this job market is a really interesting one, and where it's can be competitive on both the hiring side, the company looking for somebody, and the candidate side. It's just this weird dichotomy. So talk a little bit about just recruiting and retaining good employees. All of those things can be really challenging. And what is something that you've tried, maybe something innovative or something that you'd like to share that you found a lot of success with to help recruit and retain employees?
Hi, I'm Stephen Rothberg.
And I'm Jeanette Leeds.
And together, we're the co-hosts of the High Volume Hiring Podcast.
Are you involved in hiring dozens or even hundreds of employees a year? If so, you know that the typical sourcing tools, tactics, and strategies, they just don't scale.
Yeah. Our bi-weekly podcast features news, tips, case studies, and interviews with the world's leading experts about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to high volume hiring.
Make sure to subscribe today.
So I think when it comes to recruiting talent, I don't know that it has changed so much today versus yesterday or before. I think recruiters, we have the opportunity to listen. And I think that there's real power in listening to our stakeholders, listening to our candidates, and understanding what their needs are, what their motivations are. Of course, in certain situations, there are specific skills or certifications, requirements. But beyond that, what are they looking for? What are their needs? What are some of the subtle things that they're sharing with you as a recruiter that may be really important for you to keep in mind to help guide them, or keep in mind and relaying that to the hiring team, to the hiring leader? That can make a big difference in not only them saying yes to the offer, should they get it, but also saying, yes, I want to continue to stay with this organization because you understand my motivations, you understand what I'm looking for, and you've brought that forward in the interview, in the recruitment process. So I think just listening, some of those moments of listening may result in, hey, this is not the right place. This is not the right time. This is not the right opportunity based on what I'm hearing you say. I think candidates really appreciate transparency. I appreciate transparency as a candidate or as, colleague, whatever it is. So I think just being as transparent as possible. Obviously, we have to at times where the corporate or the client had, and there's just certain things we can't, but where we can be transparent, it goes a long way.
Last question, Carrie. We really want to bring some vulnerability to this podcast.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we've had some really interesting stories that we've learned about people. So, not to put you on the spot, but we'd love to know, is there something that you're currently challenged with, or a big moment in your recruiting career that was super challenging, and how did you overcome it? I think people listening really glean some hope from these vulnerable conversations. Like to share?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like my career has been so many vulnerable moments. I have so many vulnerable moments now, I would say, whether it is doubting myself, just doubting myself, why am I on this podcast today? Just silly things like that.
Yeah.
But I will just maybe share, in this market where there's so many of us that are maybe struggling, maybe, really having to work incredibly hard to stay where we're at, maybe questioning if this is the profession we want to be in, and maybe starting to explore other areas. I've been thinking about that a lot as I talk to other recruiters. And I can remember 3 different times in my career where I really had maybe take a weekend, take a long day, and just really think about, do I want to stay in this profession? And really make a decision and really recommit to, yes, this is where I want to be. Yes, this is what I want to continue to do. Yes, it's going to be challenging. Yes, I can do this. So I think having vulnerable moments, whether it is a setback from a layoff, whether it is a setback from your role has decreased, and these are things that have happened to me that have certainly been setbacks and have certainly made me feel vulnerable, certainly question my ability, my value, and maybe initially thinking, gosh, is this the right profession for me? Do I need to do something else? And taking time to reflect, and every time I have come back with a very strong yes, this is where I want to be. It's a great profession. It's provided me so many opportunities to make a difference in organization as well as candidates. So it is really challenging right now. I've been challenged, in this market, but I am a big believer in staying optimistic. I think having some resiliency in this time is important. So
that was a perfect segue to actually the upcoming event that you have. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. The hypno breath work to help women with imposter syndrome. That's a perfect place for those that are feeling vulnerable in a similar situation. I was actually talking to a partner this morning, a sponsor, and he said how much he loved what we're doing because he felt like in his leadership roles in TA, he always felt like he really had to coach women on getting past the imposter syndrome. And it was so shocking to him, in managing both men and women, the women time after time after time would really struggle with the confidence. And so he was, really fascinated with what we were doing. And you just very timely happen to be having an event. So can you tell us very briefly what the event is about? When is it? How people can sign up?
I am personally so excited about this event. It's happening September 7th. It is a Saturday morning, so it's going to be in one of our beautiful Seattle parks here. And imposter syndrome. I don't know that we ever get over it. I think there are times in our life, career that we might experience it. And so I think tools like the session we're doing on September 7th can give us a tool belt of different resources. So the event is going to be facilitated by Kat, who is not only a professional in talent acquisition, but she's also a certified hypnobreath therapist or consultant facilitator. There we go. Sorry, I need to get the right word. And so we are going to have a pretty relaxed morning where we're going to meet up in the park. We are going to do a short walk. We're going to go to an area, kind of get our yoga mat, our blankets, kind of, relax. And then she's going to take us through a little exercise to help us really center ourselves, focus ourselves, to give us some tools on how to overcome or combat imposter syndrome.
It's amazing. So timely. Well, thank you for joining us. It's always great spending time with you. We actually just talked yesterday, so 2 times in 1 week.
We did.
But thank you for being here. We hope you have an amazing weekend, and thank you for all you do in Seattle. And for those tuning in, thanks for listening to another inspiring woman in talent, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you both.
Carrie.
Thanks,
Bye.
Carrie.